There was always a certain arrogance to it. They didn't need a house that big. They didn't need to spend that kind of money. But they truly believed they would never have to worry about finances again. In 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle paid $14.65 million for their Montecito mansion. At the time, it symbolized freedom, a fresh start in California, away from royal constraints. But according to royal biographer Angela Levin, that mansion has since become something very different, a gilded cage. The property itself is extravagant: 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, landscaped gardens, a tea house, guest cottage, and every luxury imaginable. It was purchased during what seemed like the peak of their earning power, shortly after signing headline-making deals with Netflix and Spotify, reportedly worth over $100 million combined. But here's the problem. Those deals required output. Content. Deliverables. Audience engagement. The mansion remains. The income streams have slowed. The bills haven't. Security costs, staffing, property taxes, legal battles, particularly Harry's ongoing lawsuits in the UK, all add up. Maintaining that level of lifestyle in Montecito requires constant revenue, and the math appears increasingly uncomfortable. Angela Levin has described the estate as a prison on multiple levels. There's the financial prison; selling it would signal retreat, something neither seems prepared to admit. There's the geographic isolation. Harry now lives thousands of miles from lifelong friends, family, and the structured royal life that once gave him purpose. And then there's the psychological dimension, the realization that the freedom they sought has brought a different kind of confinement. One where every public move is scrutinized, and every new venture feels like an attempt to revive momentum. Reports suggest Harry spends much of his time at home, far removed from the camaraderie of military service or the rhythm of royal engagements. He traded a life of structured duty for open-ended autonomy, but autonomy without direction can feel hollow. Financially, concerns have reportedly grown. Meghan has long been associated with high-end fashion and luxury tastes, designer dresses, premium accessories, polished presentation. That image requires consistent spending. But maintaining a celebrity lifestyle is very different from inheriting royal wealth. Harry inherited money from Princess Diana and previously received financial support from King Charles. However, those sources were never infinite. Meanwhile, major partnerships have shifted. The Spotify deal ended. Netflix output has slowed. Public enthusiasm has fluctuated. And then there's the speaking circuit. At one point, Harry was reportedly commanding between $50,000 and $100,000 per engagement. More recent reports suggest dramatically lower fees in some cases. Whether strategic repositioning or market correction, the shift has fueled speculation about declining brand value. One particularly ironic booking raised eyebrows: Harry appearing at a privacy professionals summit. Critics quickly noted the contradiction: a prince who wrote a deeply personal memoir and participated in revealing documentaries now speaking on privacy issues. The optics alone invite commentary. Comparisons to the Duke of Windsor have also resurfaced, another royal who left official life and later relied heavily on public appearances and paid engagements. The parallels aren't perfect, but they're hard to ignore. Meanwhile, Meghan's lifestyle brand efforts have faced their own scrutiny. Promotional campaigns for curated product collections have drawn criticism for design quality and pricing strategy. In one example, bundled products reportedly cost more together than when purchased separately, an unusual approach for retail marketing. Complaints about product defects, including candles missing wicks, further damaged early credibility. Customer service responses, or the perception of limited accountability, amplified online backlash. In today's digital economy, brand trust can erode quickly, especially when early adopters feel disappointed. Observers suggest the larger issue may be expectation versus reality. When Harry and Meghan left the UK, they appeared confident that global audiences would eagerly fund their independent vision. The assumption seemed to be that name recognition alone could sustain long-term influence. But celebrity markets are volatile. Attention spans shift. Audiences demand consistency. Reinvention requires not just visibility, but execution. The central question now is sustainability. Can they recalibrate? Adjust lifestyle expectations? Rebuild credibility through disciplined strategy rather than grand positioning? Or will the Montecito mansion stand as a monument to overconfidence at the height of their optimism? Whatever the answer, what we're witnessing doesn't look like a temporary setback. The rushed graphics, the confusing pricing, the quality control issues, the apparent lack of experienced staff. Taken together, it doesn't look like a carefully executed business strategy. It looks like an operation scrambling to stay afloat. There seems to have been an assumption that a famous name alone could carry a brand, that recognition would override concerns about quality, presentation, or value. But the market rarely works that way. Attention can be borrowed. Loyalty has to be earned. Even royal historian Kate Williams, who has often spoken sympathetically about Meghan, expressed surprise at the direction things have taken. She noted that selling jars of jam was not what many expected from someone once described as a fresh, modernizing voice within the monarchy. That contrast is hard to ignore. Meghan once positioned herself as an advocate for gender equality on the global stage. She spoke at the United Nations. She was photographed alongside world leaders. She framed her public identity around empowerment and systemic change. Now, much of her public-facing work centers on lifestyle content and premium food products in an already crowded marketplace. Whether that represents reinvention or retreat depends on perspective, but it undeniably marks a dramatic shift. Then there's Netflix. The initial documentary series generated significant attention. But when reports emerged that a follow-up season of With Love, Meghan would not move forward, it raised questions. Streaming platforms invest based on long-term audience retention. When continuation doesn't happen, it usually signals performance didn't meet expectations. The broader pattern has drawn industry scrutiny. Big announcement. Heavy publicity. Strong curiosity spike. Then a noticeable drop in sustained output or engagement. The Spotify podcast deal followed that arc. So did parts of the Netflix partnership. And critics argue the lifestyle brand now appears to be walking the same path. At a certain point, the repetition becomes the narrative. 5 years after stepping away from royal duties, observers are still asking, what is the sustainable lane? Acting was respectable but not headline-dominating. Advocacy brought visibility but not infrastructure. The lifestyle sector is highly competitive, requiring operational precision and long-term consistency. What is the core competency that can stand independently of royal association? That question lingers. Meanwhile, Harry appears caught in a complicated position. On one side is his wife and the independent path they chose together. On the other is the family institution he left, one that still holds stability, structure, and resources. Reports suggest he has explored ways to reconnect with his father. But reconciliation in high-profile families, especially after public interviews and a tell-all memoir, rarely happens without accountability on both sides. And then there are reports about potential UK visits. Alleged requests for specific accommodations, staffing preferences, and security arrangements have fueled commentary about entitlement. Whether exaggerated or accurate, the perception alone reinforces a narrative critics have pushed for years, wanting royal privilege without royal obligation. That perception matters. Because public reputation is often shaped less by confirmed fact and more by consistent optics. Harry's legal battles over security protection add another layer. If every visit becomes a negotiation over resources and protocol, reconciliation becomes increasingly complex. His dilemma is stark: support high expectations and risk further distance from his family, or push back and create tension at home. Neither option appears easy. The contrast with Catherine, Princess of Wales, is frequently highlighted. Catherine integrated slowly. She adapted over time. She developed causes through gradual, sustained engagement. Her work around early childhood development and digital well-being has emphasized measured collaboration with academic experts rather than high-drama rhetoric. Even on the issue of screen time and online safety, a topic Harry and Meghan speak passionately about, their approaches differ. Critics argue that the Sussex messaging sometimes leans toward alarmist framing, while Catherine's messaging leans toward cultural awareness and personal responsibility. And consistency matters. It becomes difficult to campaign aggressively about the dangers of social media while maintaining an active online presence featuring curated family content. The contradiction may not be fatal, but it complicates credibility. That credibility gap now touches nearly everything they do. They promised privacy, yet delivered memoirs, documentaries, interviews. They promised meaningful impact, yet pivoted heavily into commercial ventures. At the end of the day, this isn't just about money, titles, or jam jars. It's about choices and the consequences that follow them. The Sussex story was supposed to be a bold new chapter. Instead, it's starting to look like a cautionary tale. What do you think, reinvention in progress or reputation in decline? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this story is far from over.